Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for A Quiet Place Day 1, starring Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, and I always feel like I'm pronouncing this guy's name wrong, but I, for whatever reason, have not looked up a video on how to pronounce his name, so I just have to say it as best as I can. Digimon Houston, and he's a very well-respected actor in my opinion. Dude is criminally underrated, but his name just feels like it spells Digimon. I don't know how to pronounce it, but regardless, it's starring those four people, and it was directed by Michael Sarnowski, I believe. And our story follows, well, the prequel to the Quiet Place series, where, yes, we are experiencing what happened the very first day that these creatures came to Earth and our entire world went silent. Honestly, I feel like that's the best way to describe the plot. That's really all you need to know about this movie, is that you are literally going back to the very first day that all of this occurred, and you're figuring out why everything is the way it is in the current A Quiet Place movies. And, I mean, beyond that, look, I don't even really know where to begin with this movie, because I was completely just caught off guard with how great, not good, great this movie is. I mean, I absolutely adored this film way more than I expected to. And it's so crazy to me because the first Quiet Place I remember so very well. And mainly it's to the fact of John Krasinski's "I love you, I will always love you" moment. And then you have Emily Blunt cocking that shotgun at the end. Whew. Jesus, somebody turned on the AC. But that movie was memorable for so many different reasons. And for whatever reason, I remember enjoying A Quiet Place Part 2, but I do not remember the movie as much as I expected to. I've only seen it once. But going into this movie, I was kind of just expecting to feel the same things that the previous Quiet Place movies brought. And it was just, which was immense tension, crazy sequences where you're just literally on the edge of your seat trying to stay as quiet as humanly possible, because I like how these movies make you feel like if you make a noise out in the theater, some shit's gonna go down in the movie, or at least that's how I feel. But look, this movie completely threw me off guard, and for all the right reasons. And I'll start with one of the most impressive parts of this movie, and it was the character development. For Lupita Nyong'o especially. Lupita Nyong'o absolutely murdered her role. And the character development, what you see her character go through from beginning to end, is truly beautiful. It's really beautiful storytelling. I mean, so basically Lupita Nyong'o is playing a cancer patient who, when the movie begins, she has no hope in her eyes. All hope is lost. There's no reason to live. She knows there's a time limit on her life, and there's no purpose to what any of life is right now. Like, she just has no purpose of living. She's just waiting basically for her ticking time clock to expire. And where you find her by the end of this film is such a night and day type of experience that I really did not expect to walk away with going, this movie had such rich, in-depth storytelling. I got so attached to these characters. I just absolutely loved everything that Lupita Nyong'o brought to this role. And beyond that, I love how her character was written and how you really get attached to her sense of hope and her sense of trying to find something to live for in the midst of all this fucking chaos. Think about that. Like, the world is freaking ending, and that's when you find your purpose of living. That's crazy, but it absolutely worked, and Lupita Nyong'o was the main reason of it working. Another big reason was the writing of her character, but Lupita Nyong'o portraying this character was a main reason of that. And there is another example of that, finding your purpose to live, in Joseph Quinn's character too. Joseph Quinn and Lupita Nyong'o are both introduced in this movie in parts of their lives where they truly didn't know what to do with themselves, or like essentially what life was at that point. But then they find each other and they continue to inspire one another to actually give each other hope as to what, life is for, why there's something to live for. One thing that I truly adored about Lupita Nyong'o's character. I'm going to probably keep going back to her because she was just truly immaculate. But one thing I truly loved about Lupita Nyong'o's character was how simple her motivation was. I want pizza. And for whatever reason, that worked for this movie so very well. It was a very simple motivation for her character, but it was one that we could all relate to, because it's like, if the world is going to end, I want to try to enjoy the things that I love most in this world, and nothing's going to fucking stop me. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can to get that fucking slice of pizza and enjoy this last taste of life. And I was on board. I was absolutely on board for that. I did at first when I heard her character say that, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's just joking, but no, she truly, her motivation for her character in this movie is truly to go get a slice of fucking pizza, and not just any pizza. It's New York style pizza, which I can't be mad at you for that. New York style pizza is different. New York style pizza is the best kind of pizza in my opinion, but. Regardless, this movie truly just caught me off guard with how well the characters were written, how attached I got to these characters. I found myself getting more attached to these characters here than I did in A Quiet Place Part 2. A Quiet Place, I got attached to the family pretty decently, but I feel like the Quiet Place Part 1 and A Quiet Place Day 1 both really fleshed out the characters so very well. But credit to Joseph Quinn's character as well, because he absolutely, look, these characters took their motivations that were so very simple yet so relatable in a time crisis such as the world fucking ending due to these creatures who just hear off sounds. Like, and you're taking characters with such simple motivations, but we all can relate to them because they're what make us human. It's the motivations that make us want to live. And this thing got really deep. Like, this movie got deeper than I expected it to when it came to really fleshing out the human characters. I truly appreciated the movie for doing that, though, because it took a different toll than the other two Quiet Place movies. I really enjoyed the fleshing out of the humanity. Now, as far as the monster shit, I mean, they've already perfected that in the last two movies, so they're just building on top of that. The monster shit, as always, is fucking incredible. Now, what I will say is the complete difference between the Quiet Place movies prior and this one here, of course, is you're seeing a lot more of them because people aren't fully aware. I mean, you're aware, like, they are aware at a certain point in time, like, yes, you're not allowed to make noise. But what was confusing me about that was they would have, like, helicopters going through, or like, yeah, probably helicopters flying throughout the city and literally making announcements saying, please be quiet, don't say anything, they cannot hear you, if you don't make noise they won't kill you. And they're just drawing attention to all the helicopters. That was a funny way of announcing it. But the monster shit, you just see a lot more of them, and it just feels like the tension is a lot higher, especially when it's a massive group of people walking together. That's when I felt like the most tension was like built throughout the entire movie itself. When you're seeing a massive group of people walking together, the most horrible things came to mind. Like what I'm thinking like is going to happen to this group of people if somebody makes noise. And beyond that, there were so many very, very well put together tension-filled moments. There's one scene in particular dealing with Joseph Quinn. Actually, Lupita Nyong'o and both Joseph Quinn have one of these scenes. But Joseph Quinn's scene in particularly, when he goes on his solo mission in the film, I won't say what it's for, but when he goes on a solo mission, there is a scene where he is trying to stay as quiet as humanly possible, and there's a shot of one of the monsters coming up very close to his face, and he has to stay as silent as possible. And the thing that I absolutely adore most about this movie is the facial expressions, the expression of fear and just having to be completely silent all at the same time, but they're fearing for their lives. It's amazing, and Lupita Nyong'o does a very good job of it as well. But there are so many just tension-filled moments there, and the sound effects or the sound design in this movie, it's just as good as all the other Quiet Place movies. When you see the scenes of all of the monsters or the creatures running through the city, you just feel the magnitude and the intensity of it. Like, you feel like the rumbling, you feel everything, and it just makes the stakes so much higher because you just understand how quickly these motherfuckers can catch you, how quickly you can die if you make a sound, how quickly these motherfuckers will be at your door if you are to make any sort of sound whatsoever. This, for me, was unexpectedly one of my favorite movies of the year, for sure. And before I go even deeper into that, as far as the only thing that I personally did not like about the movie, look, I understand a lot of people are calling for Frodo the cat to be the MVP of this movie, and I will admittedly say, Frodo the cat is a badass name. For all credit to whoever came up with that. Frodo the cat, badass name. But that motherfucker is not the MVP. Frodo the cat is one of the most frustrating characters I've seen in a very long time, or in quite a while, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not the biggest animal person, so for me, when I'm watching somebody risk their life to go save their fucking cat or their emotional support animal in the end of a world crisis, I mean, I get it, you need it, but do you really? Like, you got more important stuff to worry about, like your own life, and you running to save a goddamn cat who's putting themselves in peril. Let the cat the cat got 9 more lives. You don't. Get the fuck out of there. Like, Frodo the cat is not the MVP. Frodo the cat is just putting people's lives in danger very nonchalantly and not giving a fuck about who he's trying to hurt. Fuck Frodo the cat, as far as I'm concerned, but it's still a cool name. But that was the only part that was making me frustrated, was that goddamn cat. Other than that, I do need to also shout out Alex Wolff, because he is a tremendous actor who needs to just be in as many projects as humanly possible. Alex Wolff is damn good. I absolutely just, anytime Alex Wolff pops up in the movie, I'm just like, yo, for this kid to go from Naked Brothers Man to being a damn good underrated actor. I think he's underrated. Like, if you've seen Hereditary, you know how good he can be. But I just feel like I need him to be in a lot more projects. But look, as far as the director goes, Michael Sarnowski, he completely took everything John Krasinski created with these movies and amplified it, and no pun intended, amplified it, and absolutely just continued to build and introduce us to the world that was A Quiet Place before, we got to John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. And he did it so brilliantly. He did it in a way where this movie truly stands out amongst the other two, because yes, not only is it the day one, when this thing takes place, but you just get very more emotionally attached to these characters, and it's very well written, and it's a very heartwarming, very emotional story going on between the human characters that really is the driving force for me. I feel like the monsters are kind of just like the background of this movie, but the true heart and the emotional drive all comes from the human characters themselves, which could be the premise for the other two Quiet Place movies, especially the family dynamic in the first one, and then, the forgiveness part theme in the second one. But here, I think it just stood out a lot more just because of this very simple premise of just wanting pizza, or just wanting hope, or just wanting hope back. Like, A Quiet Place, man, it's damn good. Look, overall, guys, A Quiet Place Day One is a very good prequel, one that will completely knock your socks off, have you in the theater gripping your armrest, completely having you on the edge of your seat trying to figure out where these motherfuckers are coming from next. You are sitting there trying not to make a sound. It is amazing, and for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give A Quiet Place Day One a 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right, guys, so A Quiet Place Day One. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. I really do appreciate it. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.